Hi, my name is Cecilia. I'm the founder of Yunus Youth, a global platform that accelerates social businesses globally. And I'm also an investment advisor at UNICEF Ventures, where I have structured the first investment vehicle within the UN, with which we've made more than 100 investments in developing countries, investments that really work to improve the lives of children. So I'm very happy to speak to you today, as after many years investing in social businesses in more than 30 countries, I have a lot to share about what investors look for when assessing early stage investments. And knowing that many of you here are entrepreneurs, I've clustered these considerations into 5 categories. Please know, however, that these are not the only categories that investors assess, but there are definitely 5 crucial ones that you should have very clear and very clearly outlined before you approach a seed investor. First one, problem solution fit. So as we've been talking about in this conference, every social business starts with a problem, especially a societal problem. So do you understand this problem? Did you immerse yourself in that problem to really understand its consequences? Have you gathered evidence around it? Can you quantify the societal cost of that problem being unresolved? And then after all of that is clear, how is your solution solving that problem? Is there a clear problem solution fit? Before you talk to an investor, talk to as many people as possible. See if when you tell them the problem and solution that you're addressing, if they follow this story and really evaluate how clearly they can understand, others can understand this correlation. Number 2, technical viability of your product. This can be very different depending on the kind of product that you're building, but ultimately you need to be able to respond. Does your solution work? And the best possible assessment you can show here is with user testing and with showing the robustness of the results you can show from that testing. So starting from piloting your solution, tracking how many users use it, and more importantly, how many users return to use it. So monitoring really the user experience, gathering feedback. This is really such an important assessment. It's an important piece, and as much data you can collect from users to show the potential of your solution, the more interest you'll have from investors. Number 3, a business plan. As you all here know, a social business needs to be a financially sustainable business model to maximize its social impact. So does your social business have a business model that has been validated? Meaning, can you assess the market's willingness to pay? Have you tested? Have you iterated on the revenue model? And have you gotten any revenue that you can show? Number 4, does the team that you have with your social business, do they have the right skills and experience to implement the project? This can include the relevant skills to deploy the technology that you are using, the skills to set up and run the business strategy, UX, software, hardware, programmatic expertise in the area that you're working on, whether it's education, healthcare. Do you have those components as part of your team? Another area that is super important and that we see this happening as a mistake in many social businesses implemented is, what's the geographic, where is the team really based? So are they locals from where the social business is implemented? So when I assess social businesses, you'd be surprised how many of those social businesses are being built by foreigners. Foreigners that are not residents to the country where the solution is going to be implemented. And there is a very big issue here. at one point, you will need that local experience, that local understanding of that local context, and to be able to tackle the social issue that you want to tackle in that geographic region. You need to be sure that you really, really understand it, and you really need to be sure that your team has the local knowledge to be able to execute and deploy that solution the right way. So if you build a team, you need to be sure that you understand the networks that exist in that country, and you really understand the context that is required for the implementation. Another thing that you should be very, very mindful about is the diversity of the team. It's been proven over and over again, especially in the last few years. There's a lot of research of how diverse teams generate better results. So this is an important thing that you really need to consider. And if your team does not have all the skills that you need to implement the solution, do you have any advisors? Do you have any partnerships that are complementing the gaps that your team has? But you really need to be sure that the key skills that you need to implement that solution are a key part of your leadership team. Number 5, do you have a clear execution plan with if you receive funding, the funding that you're requesting from the seed investors? Do you know what is it that you're going to be doing with that funding? Do you have a plan? Do you have clear metrics of what you've accomplished to date, and real metrics that can indicate that you'll track and assess the impact of your solution, especially if you get additional funds to expand its reach and expand its results? And do you have a very clear understanding of what kind of impact are you going to be generating with those additional funds and that additional deployment of the solution? So this is super, super important. That's another mistake I see when I assess social businesses. Many have not put together a clear understanding and the key metrics that they need to show of the impact of the solution, especially if they've been given more funds. I think a lot of teams say that if they do receive the funds, they'll figure it out. I think this is the key component that you have to think before you reach to an investor. So I wanted to, again, talk a bit about these 5 areas in a very high-level snapshot. But if you solidify these 5 areas, this will help you position yourself in such a way that early-stage investors will want to know about you. However, this does not mean that any investor would be interested, even if these 5 areas are incredibly developed and solid. You have to really understand that each investor has its own focus, whether it's a geographic area, an industry, or a specific stage of a social business that they focus on. There's an immense diversity in the funding industry. So the important thing here is do your research. After you solidify your social business and after you gather evidence of impact, after you gather and strengthen the 5 areas that I mentioned, research what kind of investors are out there that focus on the kind of solution that you are building. I particularly focus so basically at UNICEF, in my UNICEF team where I do a lot of these investments, I particularly focus on businesses, on social businesses that use emerging technologies to solve societal issues. You have no idea how many teams reach out to me that really don't use any technology at all. So for every investor that there's out there, there's a website with the investment information. So read as much as possible before you reach out to connect with the right investor. Understand whether you meet the investment criteria, and if you do, don't hesitate to reach out, but please make sure that you have something solid to talk about, that you have and meet the criteria or that is the focus of that investor, and that you can very clearly outline all of that. Having a meeting with an investor is a really unique opportunity, so you really want to make a good impression. So I would very, very much recommend you to not rush into it. Make sure you solidify a lot of the components of your social business before you get to the funding stage. So I hope that helps you get a better understanding of how to introduce your social business to an investor. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much, and keep having fun with the rest of the sessions. Bye bye.